Welcome to the Candle Business Coach Podcast, a show about the craft of candle making and small business. I'm your host, Kirsty Allen, and I'm a candle maker, mum of three, and kindness advocator. Join me as I dive into all things candles and small business and deliver advice and tips to you in episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Are you on the list to get my daily motivation emails? Every day I'll send you a message that is designed to help keep you focused on taking action toward your goals. Sign up using the link in the show notes. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. On today's show, we've got the lovely Myrna, and she will tell us all about all the amazing things that she's been doing over the last couple of years, but more recently with a little invention that she's created. So Myrna, do you want to say hello to the listeners?
Hello, Kirsty, and hello, listeners. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you. Where do I start?
Yeah.
The KwikWik. It hasn't been widely spread yet out there, but I invented the KwikWik. Basically, it's a two-part wick centering tool, so it comes with a bottom part to help you center your wicks on the bottom of the jar, and then a wick holder on top to match that jar to hold your wicks up while you're pouring the candles. Basically, I just found that there was a gap in the market for something easy to use for candle makers, and that's when my brain just started coming up with ideas, sleepless nights basically. Initially, I should actually begin with saying I had invented a couple of other products before, but that's for another time.
Yeah, sure.
So I kind of had that previous knowledge of where to go with, coming up with new products and stuff. But with the KwikWik, I tried to first come up with something a little bit universal, which proved to be a little bit harder for anyone to use. And then I just thought, okay, it might cost me a little bit more money to come up with more pieces that fit jars, but it's going to benefit the candle maker a lot more.
Absolutely. And it's almost customizing to the different jar sizes.
And that was the biggest challenge. It was just thinking, how do I custom make in mass production when we've got so many hundreds of different size jars out there? So basically, I came up with a concept and then decided to go with the most popular jars to begin with. And then just by coincidence, those sizes happen to fit a lot of other jars on the market as well. So there are the odd shape here and there, but, the mainstream jars, we've pretty much got it covered with the KwikWik.
Incredible.
Yeah, so that's how that started. And then my idea basically turned into production. I first got the CAD designer, brought him over, ran through my ideas. I had to get him to imagine what I was thinking, so I started sketching. We went off that, and that was through COVID. So it took something that should have taken a few months. With the delays, took a couple of years.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
So we started sketching. And then we went on to production. I called my manufacturing company overseas in China, and we got rolling with the mold. And then, we basically took off from there. Everything started falling into place, and that was the production part of things.
Amazing. It's just so incredible to think that you were a candle maker, loving what you do, but realize there has to be a better way. And to actually to pursue that across a number of years, it's just a testament to your motivation and your goal setting and knowing that this would benefit so many people rather than giving up or just leaving it in the idea stage.
Well, that's why I did it. It wasn't I just need to find a new hobby or a job. I had been making candles for 5 years. Actually, how I got into candle making, firstly, I'm a retired hairdresser, so I was in a completely different trade. And if there are any ex-hairdressers out there, they would know that hairdressers work very long hours on their feet and don't get paid near enough money. So once I gave up that, I basically got pregnant with my first kid, and after having my 2 children, I decided I never wanted to work for anyone again. I started actually with making handmade soaps from scratch. Did that for a couple of years, but with my little children around, all the chemicals, that proved to be a little bit hard. So I went into candle making. And 5 years of that, I realized that every time I was making a candle, through the process of the wax setting and drying, I had to continuously, you all know the metal wick holders out there, I had to move them left and right to make sure that those wicks were staying centered the entire time.
Yes.
I couldn't leave my candles and just go. So that's where that idea stemmed from. And yeah, basically it was a passion for me, candles, and then coming up with this idea was even more of a passion. I was so excited and I just couldn't wait to get it out there. And my only thing was that it took 2 years. I wanted it to happen a lot quicker.
Absolutely.
But it's out there now when it's done. So
yes, and they come in different colours, which is so cool.
Yes. There's the graphite, which is like your dark grey, the ivory, and the pastel pink, which has actually been the absolute most popular. And it's funny because it was the one colour I was thinking of not having. So it's always the case that you think aren't going to work, take off the best.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. That would have been a gamble, considering you have to invest so much money in the production side and then the shipping as well, to think 100%. If people don't like this colour, I'm going to get stuck with all these products. So, it paid off for you. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, what I did a poll on Facebook. I created a group before the product launch. I didn't know how to do all this at the beginning, but obviously Google, how to get the name of a product out there. I started a Facebook group, and then I just asked the candle makers if they would, what colours they would like, and I went off that.
Amazing. So it wasn't just you putting in what you thought might sell or people might like. No. Yeah.
But everyone loved all the colours, so I actually had to order the minimum order quantity in every single colour, which was very expensive.
And every single size as well.
And every single size. It's a lot. I get a lot asking me, can you custom make? The difference between, they're not 3D printed, so I don't have like a machine at home and I do it.
Yes, that's right.
They're mass manufactured. There's a massive steel mould, and the way they're done, once that shape has been carved into the mould, you cannot change it. You can, but you can't custom. If once you change it, you've got to pay thousands of dollars to change it. And that's kind of permanent and all that sort of stuff. So, there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Absolutely, and the general person wouldn't have a clue what's involved in the back end of production. And because you created this product from scratch. Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it and a lot of money. So there's quite a lot of a large investment to begin with.
Yes, large investment, and that was a gamble. But I believed in the product. It was the first of its kind in Australia. I did find out later that there were a lot of very similar wick holders, but nothing in the country.
Yes,
and obviously, if you were to order from America, it's going to cost you so much money. So
that's right.
Definitely. Making it available to the Australian candle makers was amazing.
And I'll certainly put all the links to your website and Instagram and the Facebook group in the show notes of this episode, so people can find what we're actually talking about if they've not heard of the KwikWik before. But basically, it's a wick holder that makes your candle making journey faster, more effective, and it basically perfects the center of the wick, which you just can't find with any other method.
No. And that's the thing. Like, we've got, like I was saying before, we do have 7 sizes, and they were originally designed for the Danube jars, the Oxford and Cambridges, all the way from the medium to the XXL. Happen to fit a lot of other jars on the market. And we do, on our Instagram and website, there is a sizing chart that they can actually go on. And based on the diameter of the jar they're using, it'll tell you what size to choose.
And there's also the sample packs as well.
Yes, the sample packs. So if you don't want to go all in and spend a whole heap of money on different size sets, our sample sets have 1 set of each size, so there's 7 sizes, and you can choose them in any colour that you want, although the pastel pink is out of stock, most likely until next year. The graphite and the ivory is still in stock, and that's the best way. You can actually physically test them on your jars rather than guess whether your diameter matches with our sizing chart.
Yes, that's right. And one of the not issues that I had, but when I purchased 2 sizes, I bought in bulk, and I realised that the disc for the bottom of one of the KwikWiks didn't actually fit properly, but the other disc. So you'll find that by buying a sample pack, which are very reasonable in price, that you can test to see what size will be perfect for your jars or tins or vessels, which is the benefit of going down that path. Can you explain why the tops and the bottoms aren't sold separately?
Yes, I get this a lot, and I have put it up a lot on my – it's a little bit hard to explain, so you've got to go into detail with how production works in mass manufacturing. It's kind of like when you see something and it's, one item will cost you 30, but if you buy 12, it'll only cost you an extra $10. So these aren't prices that I make up. This is how I get charged by the manufacturer. What happens is this massive mold has, like, let's just say the 7 sizes in it of the tops and the bottom carved in. When the liquid plastic gets poured in, it gets poured in all the channels. So they're producing the same amount of disc as they are tops. For me to then not sell them separately, or only sell like 7 tops with 2 bottoms, I'm eventually going to be left with thousands of bottom discs that I don't know what to do with. They're going to end up in the tip,
Yeah.
or they're going to be piled up in my lounge room. It just doesn't equate to the sets, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And another thing, also, if you know how production works, even if I was to say to my manufacturer, close up the channels, and I only want to order, say, 500 tops and 100 bottoms, it's going to cost me so much more that then the price for the customer is not really going to be any different. Or not any different, but not much less. And I always say those little discs at the bottom, they're tiny. I've already lost so many here just in my lounge room.
That's relatable.
So, yeah, if you lose one disc, let's just say you were able to order just one disc. If you lose that one disc, you're then going to have to pay like $12 shipping just to get another one disc. You might as well have those extra discs for that little bit extra. And a lot of candle makers do production, so they'll set up. I mean, I do it when there's about 50 candles to make. I set up the bottoms, and I just put all the bottom discs in every jar. Mm-hmm. And I work better that way, instead of putting the disc in one bottom jar, taking it out, going to the next. It feels a little bit more productive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you first start out, you're making, only a small number of candles, but as your business grows, or as you become more efficient, you want to look at ways that are going to make the production of the candles a lot faster. And the bases or the bottoms of the KwikWik certainly help with that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's better having more than always losing that bottom disc and then paying. And it's just, look, it comes down to production like anything. I can't get them separately, so I can't sell them separately.
And it kind of feels like a bonus by giving the bottom and the top to the customer, because then they, as you say, if they lose 1 or 2, they've still got enough with them to keep making.
That's right. And, they come in sets of, even if you're just starting out, they come in sets as small as 6. So a set of 6, you'll get the 6 bottoms and the 6 tops. You don't have to buy hundreds of each one. So they come in small sets.
Yes.
And then the more you buy, the bigger the pack, the cheaper it works out to be per disc.
Yes, definitely. And one of the things I just thought of then is I love when you get the parcel sent, there's always like a cheeky little lolly in there. It's just so sweet.
I love my lollies, so I'm going to share it.
Yeah.
I've always got some lollies next to my bedside table, or a chocolate bar. My thing.
Yeah, no, I love that. So when thinking about actually running the business, now that it's set up and it's on the move, how do you manage completing all the relevant tasks that needing to be done?
Yes. Honestly, because of the nature of the business, it's not actually candle making. The products are already there. My hardest part was actually getting to the manufacturing stage. The stage that I'm up to now is just, getting the order, packing it, running to the post office. What I do find hard is the social media side of keeping up, keeping up the business, staying relevant, being in the media. So I am not very tech savvy. I'm learning as I go. I have 2 little very challenging boys, one's 7 and one's 5. One's still at kinder. So between their kinder drops, school drops, making lunch for them, putting them to bed, anyone with kids would understand. Mm-hmm. I basically have like a set time or a routine. It's whenever I can get 5 minutes in. And usually my kids don't sleep, so they go to bed really late. Doesn't matter how early I get them into bed. I could get them in at 7:30. They won't sleep till like 10 o'clock. And then that's when I start. I sit on Google, and I look at how to create content, which I'm very new at. So that, I think, has been the most challenging. It's the way of the future. The TikTok reels, the Instagram content. You've got to be on the ball. Otherwise, you get lost in the crowd. I find.
Yes, that's right. People are always looking for that next thing, and you, as you say, need to stay relevant.
Yeah, that's the thing. Packing the orders, actually, I really enjoy that. It's so much fun doing my little post office. It's that feeling of it's my little business. I don't work for anybody, so I get a lot of joy out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say that that's the biggest win that you've had in your business?
Yes. So it's not true that you are more relaxed and you're not completely stress-free running your own business. But it is very rewarding. You don't have to answer to anybody. The harder the work, the harder you work, the better the outcome is. Sorry. So, it's just, I suppose the only struggle is it is up to you as a business owner to make sure that you are meeting your target sales daily or weekly, because that is your bread and butter. That's my income.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, you'd be surprised when it is your own business, you'd be surprised how much harder you work at it.
Oh, absolutely. And those sacrifices of not watching as much TV or not scrolling social media, like those things are easy to move on, like to move past and focus on the business.
100%. It's all exciting. I could sit there and get so happy about, just getting an order and packing it at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I get messages saying, "Oh, I just placed my order now and you're already packing it." I'm like, yeah, well, I'm in my living room and I've got nothing to do.
Yes. That's real.
Yeah.
Because you're excited. Yeah.
I work from home, so I work around the clock. There's no set hours for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, as you say, like when people first think of starting a business, they think, oh, I'm going to have more free time. I'm going to have that literally that time freedom. And it's not necessarily the case.
No.
It depends on the business and how you've structured it. But in that initial growth or development phase, you're not saving more time. You'll be more busy than ever, but you will love what you're doing. And
the myth is that you will be, look, I'm never relaxed. My brain doesn't stop. Honestly, it's like it just works 24/7. I barely get any sleep because I'm constantly thinking of new things to introduce to my business. And at times I've got to say to myself, stop, one thing at a time, because too much is not always a good thing.
Yes.
But that's what happens when you're passionate. You just want to give more and more. And it doesn't, like in that case, you don't relax. You're kind of a little bit more stressed out, but in a good way, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely. I can certainly relate to that. Not only with my candle business, but starting this podcast. Like you're just constantly thinking of new ideas, and you just want to share that information, and you want to share the joy with other people because you're so passionate about it, and you want them to feel that excitement as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So what's been like the biggest challenge in your business so far? And that could be candle business or it could be KwikWik.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's talk about candle making. It was a challenge trying to please all the customers. So, back in the day before I started candle making, I just thought, okay, it's just some wax and it's, whatever you put in, it's going to smell nice. I didn't realize some people don't like paraffin. Some people want soy, but they want a strong scent, and it's known that soy just doesn't perform as well as paraffin does. And then I didn't realize that some fragrances, doesn't matter how strong they smell out of a bottle, it depends on the combination of wax and wicks you're using it with. So the testing phase of candle making for me, and I'm still testing, by the way, new things now, but the main part was about almost 2 years, and I would just get frustrated. And in the end, I thought, I can't make one candle that's going to suit absolutely everybody, because I have customers saying, I don't care what it's made from, I just want it to smell really strong.
Yes.
So I just had to decide what's my target audience, and I was just going to make that. And, you can't please everybody. So I just went with what I was comfortable with, what I thought was a good candle. And once I made that decision, everything else just kind of flowed.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. When you're so excited at the start of your journey, you think you need to please everyone and that everyone is your target customer because everyone loves candles, right?
Yes.
But you need to niche down into a specific, and you can go as specific as you like, but into a specific, think about your ideal customer, what are their likes, what are their dislikes, will paraffin be an issue for them? Are they more concerned about the scent or the colour? Like there's so much details to making candles, but at the end of the day, the customer doesn't need to know all of the details. They just want a nice candle.
No, I think a lot of candle makers do make that mistake of thinking they need to tell every little bit of detail. You don't need to. If you're comfortable, look, I think the most important thing is that you're producing a safe burning candle with good quality, long-lasting, and well-priced.
Absolutely.
Based on, you're going to get some cheap jar, no labels. You can't expect customers to pay top dollar.
Absolutely. But especially when they can go to one of the, the big stores and get a candle for a lot cheaper than what we're making them for.
I mean, Kmart does them now. We all know that.
It's true. It's true.
Don't get me wrong, they look really pretty.
They do.
But they look pretty.
Yes, that's right. So just circling back to KwikWik, is there anything else you want to share or that the listeners might benefit from knowing?
So basically, honestly, I think get on it.
Yes, I highly recommend it as well. I found it to be
Yeah.
just it kind of you're already enjoying the process of making candles. It just takes it to
Yes.
the next level because it's one less thing that you have to worry about when you're making the perfect
Yeah.
candle.
Look, it's just easy. I mean, if you haven't seen it, jump on our Instagram page. There's lots of pictures. It's basically a disc that sits on the top of the jar. They're made to fit those sizes. And then there's like little cavities for the wick to sit in.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're in, it doesn't move. So you don't have to keep coming back to check it, and it just makes it so much quicker. I'd say check it out, definitely. It's not because I made it, but honestly, I've had nothing but amazing feedback, and it makes me so happy when I see that something I've created is making life so much easier for so many out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the big things that I've noticed with your Instagram page is that you're resharing when people are excited about your product, and it's not just about self-promotion. It's about this is a product that really works, guys, and it's a lot easier than using popsicle sticks and pegs to secure your wicks. One thing I will get you to mention is just about KwikWik and heat gun.
Yes. So, I do say don't use the heat gun on the KwikWik to be safe. I mean, if you run it over really quickly, it's not going to do anything, but obviously prolonged use, they are made of plastic. They're made from the same plastic that Lego is made from. So it's, that exact plastic. They're more of a matte finish. So the Legos have the shine on them. There's a matte finish, but they're the same material. So obviously if you accidentally run a heat gun over it, it's not really going to do anything. But prolonged use might warp the disc. It might bend and then it won't sit properly on your jar. So I suggest put it on there, pour your wax, wait until it's set, take it off, cut the wicks off, and then run your heat gun over. It doesn't need to be on there while you're using that heat gun.
Yes, definitely. That's a good tip to know. Yeah. And also each of the different sizes I noticed actually has the number that it correlates to. So if you happen to mix them up, if you've ordered more than one size, you can tell by looking at the post on Instagram or the website. The size chart will help you identify which one belongs with each one. Yeah.
And like on the disc, it's actually got the imprint of the numbers. So you've got like the bottom disc and the top disc. They both will be the same number, so you know that they're matching. But that's another thing I want to go back on. You were saying that before you had the issue of the bottom disc fit better on a different size jar. And I will explain that. So these were originally designed, like I said, for the Oxfords and the Cambridges. Those jars usually go a little bit narrower down the bottom. So their bottom disc is a little bit smaller. But there is the random jar out there where it's a really straight-sided jar, so the bottom is a little bit wider. So you might find that a slightly larger bottom disc will sit better at the bottom and matches with a smaller top, if that makes sense.
Yes. And that's why if you buy the sample pack, you're going to have all the bottoms anyway. So you can find which one's going to be the right one. So
that's right.
Yeah.
When you start your candle business, there are so many things to consider and research along the way, especially when it comes to choosing the right suppliers. Long Story Short provides all your design and printing needs, from your logo and branding to designing and printing your product labels. The quality is exceptional, the customer service is amazing, and prices are very reasonable. They're the only label company I recommend, so check out their website or send them an email today to get started. hello@longstoryshortdesign.com.au.
So I'm wondering, based on your experience, why do you think someone should start a candle business? If we've got listeners that have yet to take the plunge, which I'm sure there are many, why do you think someone should start?
Okay, honestly, I've heard this a lot. I know a lot of people that start it just because they need a bit of extra income and they think it's a quick way to do it. That's totally wrong. Firstly, it's a very saturated market. Anyone would know this. Mm-hmm. And second, candle making, you should only get into candle making if you are passionate about candle making. If you don't love it and it doesn't transcend you into another,
dimension,
and you don't see it as therapeutic and want to spend day and night talking about fragrances and candles, it is not for you. Mm-hmm. Another thing is that it requires a lot of patience, like I was saying before, through the testing phase. You've got to be patient and you've got to be able to test to make sure you create a safe candle that actually brings out some scent as well. So, look, if it's just a side gig for some extra cash, definitely not the thing for you.
There are other things out there that are...
Yes,
that take
a lot of things. So, if you're passionate and it's something you absolutely love, I would not recommend candle making.
Yes. No, that's actually a good point, and I'm glad you brought that up because often people think it's literally just melt some wax, pour it in a jar with a wick, and there you go. There's a lot more to it, and I think when you first start your journey, you're learning. It's a big education. It's a big learning curve as you go along. But if you enjoy that, then it's incredible.
It doesn't feel like work. So, when you're candle making, if it's something you love, any little bit of the money you make is just bonus, but actually making those candles, it just, honestly, I make it to get away from things. If I'm ever in a bad mood, I'm down, I go into my room and I just make a candle.
Yeah.
And automatically I'm happier.
It's like therapy.
Yeah, therapy. Definitely.
Love it. So what do you wish you knew when you first started making candles?
Again, but sort of the same topic, I wish I knew how hard it was to create that perfect candle, because I went in buying so many fragrances, so many different waxes, so many wicks. I'd spent so much money and I didn't realize I was going to be so overwhelmed with everything. And it would have been much easier to start with, say, I've picked my, top 3 fragrances, pick one wax to begin with, test that, see where it takes me and go slowly from there. Absolutely. So you're doing a lot of money. Especially if you don't, you're a beginner, you don't know much about it. So definitely save your money, start small. It is hard to not buy all those fragrances because they're so amazing. Mm-hmm. You've definitely got to try to hold back. Otherwise, you do find you waste a lot of money before you perfect that candle.
That's right. And then you end up trying to sell it on one of the Facebook buy, swap, sell groups.
Yeah.
Definitely. But it's hard because you're so excited by it and you want to immerse yourself in every aspect of it, but then you'd get overwhelmed and then you think, oh, this is too hard, I'm not going to continue, and you sort of shoot yourself in the foot before you get off the ground.
Yeah, you've got to hold yourself back, like restrain yourself. Yes. Calm down.
Yes, take a breath. It's going to be fine.
God knows I'm one to talk, but again, it's a bit late. I spent so much money, thousands of dollars, before I even perfected my first candle.
Yes, yeah, and I think a lot of people are in that same boat.
Yeah. Take it easy. Do a lot of research and start slow and small.
That's right. And that's why it's also important to know who your target market is, because
100%.
If you are going for a particular genre, let's just say, like, you want to make candles for real estate agents to have in open homes, that's going to be very different to someone that wants a candle to mask the smell of their pet odor. Or if you're wanting to go down the aromatherapy path, like there are so many different ways that you can look at making candles, and there are literally hundreds and thousands of different fragrances, and you can't possibly buy them all. So you need to find your customer first so that you can then build a candle around them.
Exactly. And that's another thing. It even comes down to, which is something I didn't think about at the start, it comes down to the label. I didn't realize how much of a difference just the look of your label makes based on your target audience. Mm-hmm. Country-looking candles, which look absolutely amazing, and then you've got your luxury, which are kind of bold and gold foil and lid, gold and silver lids, and you've got to take all that. So it's not just the actual candle itself; it's the label.
Yes.
You've got to think what the demographic. It just makes a huge difference. So every little detail in that little candle determines who your customers are going to be, and then your price as well.
Absolutely. And I think what we'll do in another episode of the podcast is go into how to price your candles. It's not a race to the bottom. You don't want to have the cheapest candle. You have to make sure you're covering not only your costs, but that you're building in enough profit margin so that you can continue down this path in a viable way.
Yeah, because you don't want to come across as cheap, but we can talk about that another time.
Yeah, definitely.
Price doesn't always mean you're going to get more customers.
That's right. It doesn't scream premium just because it's got a high price tag. Yeah. So I think we touched on this before, but what are some of the challenges you faced when you first started your journey of candle making?
Yeah, so honestly, for me, I'm sure everyone, depending on your life, for me, it was my children. So my children have some learning challenges. They're still young, but they do therapy. And it was just kind of that overwhelming process of having to deal with that and worrying about them while coming up with this new product and finding the energy and the happiness to go ahead when I would sort of be down a little bit. But I think, honestly, then every morning looking at their faces, I think it was them that kept me going. Mm-hmm. They're my little babies, love them to death. But yeah, like I said, having that challenge of them, like they don't sleep early, they throw tantrums. Mm-hmm. I've got to take therapy every now and then. So I find myself constantly on the road with my kids. We've got to go here, we've got to go there, we've got to cook, we've got to eat. Yeah. It's just there's no, my way of what I do is I make to-do lists that I never follow. I like to pretend that I'm quite organized, but I'm far from it.
That's real.
But yeah, I suppose just in a nutshell, that challenge was I had to come up with this product and go, design it from start to finish. After they went to bed every night, because while they were awake, it was just absolutely impossible.
Mm-hmm.
They're two boys, they're only a year and a half apart, and they are constantly hitting each other and screaming. So I could never get any work done during the day. So I'd find that I would wait till about 11 o'clock at night. That's when I would sit up and write everything up, contact my suppliers, and then I wouldn't get to sleep till about 1, 2 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd up again the next day at 7 a.m. to start another day with the kids.
Yes, and that's what we do as mums. Like we prioritize them certainly when they're awake, but when they're asleep, even if it's only for a small amount of time, like if they're having a nap, you've got to do something for yourself. And whether that's self-care or starting a candle business and researching and pursuing that, you've got to make sure that you're finding that balance and taking care of yourself as well. So, and you're a perfect example that you can create a product from scratch whilst being a mum. Like that's it's not a insurmountable hurdle.
Believe in yourself and you can do it.
Yes, put that on a T-shirt.
This stage, I did not think I would get to this stage. It was literally just an idea, and I had a lot of people not believing in me and actually saying to me, "Oh, it's really stupid. You're pouring this much money into a product. You're not a big business owner. You don't own a company. What would you know? How do you know this is going to work?" And while I felt deflated at times, that gave me more ammunition, I suppose, to prove them wrong. So, I didn't go through, I spent lots and lots of money. I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to remind myself.
It's too soon.
Go through a bank. I don't want to be indebted to the bank. So, in my case, I have a big family. I'm Lebanese background. We come from big families. Mum was on board. She gave me a big lump sum. I had some savings and I just went for it. I used up literally everything I had because I had faith in the product.
And that's so inspirational that you knew.
It's scary. I have nothing left in the bank, like barely anything, and it all went towards this product.
Wow.
But I believe in yourself and just know that if you do have a great idea and there's a gap in the market, don't let anything hold you back.
I'd love to hear of anyone that's listening if there's something, an idea that you're considering, to share it with us just via DM. You don't have to make it public. And we'll be your cheerleaders because we know how hard it is to start, and sometimes you don't always have that support around you. So, we're here for you in that regard. So what would you say is a common myth about making candles?
I would say we touched on this a little earlier, the fact that you think it's just a bit of wax and fragrance and you can just create a candle. That honestly, that's the biggest myth. That's the only thing I come across all the time. You have a lot of young people just putting some things together, and the things I see out there are so dangerous.
Oh, wow.
God, it's so much harder than that, so much harder. So that I would have to say definitely that.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you can just put wax and fragrance. There's a lot of science behind a safe burning candle that smells good.
Yes, and a lot of math. Like
the math, yes.
Oh, the math.
From the math. Once I went through all that in my testing phase, but once I wrote it all down, look, I've always been good. I was never good at any other type of math, but I was good at numeracy. So percentages, this and that. So I suppose that worked in my favor with candle making. But yeah, for the person that isn't really good with maths, it can be quite challenging. But I think these days they've got like candle calculators and things on websites.
Yeah,
so
they do. And you can find the answers. You can ask people in their Facebook groups and
look, Google
figure it
is
out.
the best. You want to know, just Google and then go. I started off watching a lot of YouTube videos of other candle makers, a lot of them from America.
Yes.
There's, Jeff Stanley was the main one, and then there's another one, Black Tie Barn, I think it is. You'd be amazed how much you can learn just by watching some YouTube videos to begin with. And then you can just do a short course, like definitely do a course and get started that way. It's not as simple as you think.
Absolutely. Yeah. So in your opinion, what is the most important strength someone would need to have to be successful as a candle maker?
Passion and patience.
The two Ps.
The two Ps. Passion and maybe love for candle making. Yeah, you do. Like I said, it takes time, and it has to be something you absolutely love. It's that artistic side. Like I said, when I go in and make a candle, based on what fragrance I'm using, some of them bring back some memories. Some of them just make me feel like I'm on a tropical island somewhere, and I love it. It's my escape. And so again, patience and passion, definitely.
Definitely. So if you could change one thing about our industry, the candle making industry, what would it be?
Oh, I like this question. I would put in, I don't know, some sort of legislation where you'd actually need to do some sort of candle course to be able to sell them. At the moment, I think anybody can just put something out there and sell it. And like I said, the things I've seen out on the market with wicks that are literally hanging right on the glass.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's just a short course.
Yeah.
I think that should be something implemented in the industry.
Because it's unregulated at this stage.
That's right. So some sort of regulation has to be put in place, I think.
Well, I'm gonna put in a shameless plug. I'm in the process of developing a candle making course. It'll be online, but it'll be teaching all the basics of how to actually make a candle safely and the business side of how to set up your ABN, register your business name, all that sort of thing as well. It's called Candlecraft. It's in the works, but if that sounds interesting to you, just send me a DM on Instagram, and I can share more as more is developed.
That sounds amazing, actually. I would definitely jump on that.
Yeah. And I think because I'm developing it as I go, I'm able to customize it to what people actually need. So it's it should be coming in December, just in time for Christmas. So it'll be exciting. But what does your weekly routine look like as a small business owner? Because you're still running your candle business and you've got KwikWik. So you've sort of got a two-prong process.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to actually, like I said, I've been called a gym of all trades. I'm a retired hairdresser. I'm currently I have studied my certificate 4 in education support to become a teacher's aide. So at the moment, I've also started my training at my son's primary school. So
very busy.
You can imagine what my day. I get up in the mornings, dress the kids, drop one off at kinder, take the other one to school, stay there all day with him to do my training while I do assessments while I'm there as well. On my lunch breaks, I see what orders I've got, what I don't know, I suppose social media content I need to upload, anything that I can do for the business on my breaks. I barely eat, to be honest. I snack. I'm constantly snacking. Then the end of the day comes, pick up the kids, come home, eat, clean. I clean as much as I can, but if you see my house, you'll see, KwikWik packaging boxes everywhere, my laptop everywhere, the kids' clothes. There is no routine, basically. It's whatever I can get done.
Yes.
In that time frame. I am on the go 24/7. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's that to-do list that I don't go by.
Yes, but you love it. You wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
Well, my next question was, how do you prioritize your to-do list? But I think we can skip past that one.
Look, it comes first, even though I try to rush them along because it's like I always want to get to the candle making side, but they come first.
Yeah,
they have to come first.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's incredible to think what you're teaching them by osmosis, that they are learning about not only how to run a business, well, 2 businesses in your case, but that as their mum, they're more than just that label. But that's a topic for another day. But I love that you're prioritizing yourself within your own life, which not a lot of mums do.
Look, it's not easy. There are times where I'd be like, oh my God, I have so much to do, but I've had to force myself to just leave it, like the housework. Realistically, the housework can wait, but sometimes you kind of can't concentrate when your house is a mess. I've had to on times just put that aside and say, no, I need a cup of coffee. Otherwise, I'm going to run myself down.
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely, that's another thing, running your own business, you do have to make time for yourself. As exciting as it is having your own thing, you do get extremely exhausted and you need time to wind down.
Yeah, well, you don't want to burn yourself out.
That's not good.
Yeah. So what's your favourite thing about what you do?
Honestly, the flexibility. I mean, the nature of making candles is amazing, but to top that off, it's the flexibility of just working the hours I want. Again, it's still a lot of work, but it's mine.
Yes.
There's no boss. There's no one to tell me, you can't have a toilet break now or you can only eat at a certain time.
That's right.
And I get to spend time with my children. So being it at home, even though they're crazy and, they're very challenging, I get to spend that time with my kids while I'm working. So I suppose that's probably the best thing about it for me.
I love that. Yep. That's beautiful. Do you think there are any common myths about running a small business?
I think we've touched base on that, basically, that you think you're going to have more time than if you were to be employed by someone, working a 9-to-5 job.
Yes.
So running your own business is around the clock, and then there's also the mental aspect of it, because it's up to you to make sure that to bring in that income. You feel like you're slightly stressed a lot of the times, and you've got to keep on top of it. There's no one there giving you a wage every Friday. That's not there. It's up to you. If you slack off, you're not going to make that money.
Yes, and then you'll wonder why you're not as further down the path as you could have been or that you thought you'd be. Yeah.
So, definitely the myth is that you're going to have more time. Yes, you have maybe more time being in your own space, not in someone else's office, but you're still working, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
What's one lesson your journey has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
Never give up. Faith in yourself. It depends what we're talking about. If it's making a new, let's just say you started out making candles, you need a lot of knowledge. Don't just think you can just, basically don't have an ego about anything. I'm very resourceful. When I want to make something or create something, I am on the internet every day researching until I, decide what the best way is. But once that party's over, if you believe in yourself, believe in your product, have faith, and don't give up, just keep going and ask for help. Like, there's no shame in not knowing absolutely everything. I'm a person that loves to do everything on my own. I work better on my own, but at the same time, I found that it's better to reach out in asking questions, being okay with not knowing absolutely everything. So,
being humble is a big part of it. Yeah, definitely. So what gives you motivation to keep going when things get tough?
Okay, my kids and the fact that I need to pay my rent each week.
Yeah, that's relatable.
Everybody can guarantee that's probably the most important thing, keeping a roof over my head. So it's kind of like I have no choice. I have to keep going. But it makes it easier when you do have a successful business. And honestly, I don't think you can be successful in something you're absolutely miserable doing.
Yes.
And that's why I always say you've got to love what you do, because when you naturally love what you do, you naturally work harder at it, and then you get better outcomes.
Yeah, you improve and you evolve as you go along. Yeah.
That's right.
Do you have any productivity hacks that might help the fellow candle maker?
Productivity hack, the KwikWik.
Wow, tell us all about that. Just rewind to the start of this episode. Yeah. No, it's true though. It does save you time.
Yeah, it definitely saves a lot of time. I'll tell you what, my second hack is dropping my kids off at grandma's house.
Yes.
And you spare hours to actually get productive.
It's amazing how much you can do when they're not under your feet.
Oh, I always got, Mum, you've got it just 2 hours, please. Yes. And other times I'll be like, Mum, I need to work, but really I'll come back home and take a quick nap.
Oh, I love that. Yes, I'm a big advocate of a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to recharge, right?
100%. They're my 2 hacks, I suppose.
I love that. So good. Do you have any networking methods that have worked for you?
Yeah. So I love to reach out to other businesses in the same industry. Like I was saying before, I have created another product before this. It's in a completely different industry, so I'm not going to go into that. But with that other product, I reached out to influencers but that product was based for anyone, any household that product was for. Whereas you're in a specific industry like candle making and like the KwikWik, I think I find it better to reach out to other businesses in the same industry, and I love to collaborate with them. Obviously, no affiliations or anything like that, but people I trust, people I think are great at what they do, I love to work together. And I find that there's always healthy competition as well. Just because I've got a wick holder doesn't mean I can't connect with another business that has wick holders as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think that there's just room for everybody.
There is.
So
there is abundance.
Yeah, I think honestly, connecting with other businesses, it just helps you grow. It builds really good bridges. Yeah, I'm a big fan of doing that.
Absolutely.
I suppose, and it's all through Instagram. I do that.
Yes, so slide into those DMs, my friends.
Yeah, the DMs. Polite.
Yeah, yes. Don't spam anyone. That's number one recommendation from this podcast from us to you. Yeah. How do you define success?
Success is doing something that makes you happy.
Oh, I love that.
Definitely that's the number one. It also has to bring you income. Let's be honest. I mean, if you're struggling financially, you're not going to be the happiest person. But if there's anything you can do, take a path that makes you happy, because it's not about the amount of work you do or how tired. It's the mental side of things. If you're absolutely miserable, you're going to burn out a lot quicker doing a small amount of hours, as opposed to doing something that makes you happy. You could work, weeks on end, and you're fine. You're fine because your energy levels are up. You're happy.
Yes, that's right. And then you expend that energy to other people, so then it comes back to you as well, like it radiates.
Yeah, so success, I suppose, doing something that makes you happy. And for me, it's being surrounded by loved ones and having a good network of people around me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Are there any tools like online, like software or anything that are indispensable when it comes to running either your candle making business or KwikWik?
Yep. So obviously the website, if you want, you need to have a website for whatever you create a more professional look. And there's a lot of customers that won't purchase of you just by doing a bank transfer, or they like to go in, physically have a look, see pictures. So a lot of people are quite visual, and then they just like that professionalism of the checkout system, and it's all done professionally.
Yeah.
I also, like I said, I'm very resourceful on the internet. So anything I need to know straight away, it's on Google, and then I go from one platform to another and I research. So I suppose your laptop, your phone. What was another thing? Another thing is, so TikToks are the latest trend, which I've told you before, Kirsty, I'm terrible at all this new technology stuff.
Yes.
I was born in 79, so this is I'm not very good at it. But I suppose I'm in the process of learning how to do the TikTok reels and Instagram reels, and it's not easy, but I find that if you don't stay on top of that, you get lost, because there's so many amazing content out there that you've always got to sort of top it or match it. Otherwise, you get lost. So definitely just stay with the trend, the current trend, I suppose.
Yes. And that's the thing, like with content creation, with making candles, it's not just making candles. It's how do you promote your own business, the marketing side of it, the social media side of it. There's quite a lot involved with running the business, but try not to get overwhelmed. Just start with trying to make the best candle that you can. Don't worry about all the other things, because that in itself will take a lot of time and energy.
That's right.
And it's important to get that right before you start selling the product.
100%.
Are there any other resources that helped you get to where you are other than just Google?
I'm just
books or podcasts?
Well, it's mainly, honestly, with candle making, I started, like I said, it was just YouTube videos of other candle makers. With the KwikWik, learning how to make plastics and everything, that started off with my previous product. And actually what I did was I went into companies here, into manufacturing companies, and I Googled like plastic manufacturers, for example, and I went directly to those companies and I made them take me into their warehouse and show me how plastics is made.
Wow.
And then that was going to cost me like $200,000. And then I said, no, why don't I cut out these people and I can do it myself overseas? And then, it's just research. I think you've just really got to, you can't just think you know everything. I think for me, honestly, that's all it was. It was just going there, speaking to people in the industry, asking questions on top of Google, if that makes sense.
Taking the actual action required.
Don't be scared of somebody in that industry and say to them, can you spare 5 minutes of your time? I'm wanting to learn this. Is there any pointers you can give me?
And you won't know unless you ask. So it's putting yourself out there.
Yeah. I'll say no.
All right. So now we've come to the part of the show where I'm going to ask you 3 questions that I ask all my podcast guests. The first one is, what is your favorite candle fragrance?
Oh, coconut lime.
Oh, yes.
Just something. Look, there's a lot of amazing fragrances out there, and I always pick up a unique one and I'm like, oh, this is my favorite now, but I always go back to coconut lime.
Yes.
Takes me to the tropics.
Love it. Oh, wouldn't it be nice having I was going to say a margarita. Is that a tropical drink? Yeah. Sangria? Wine?
No.
Beer?
That's like that sweetness and lime. And
mojito.
It just makes me feel like it makes me feel like I'm on a holiday somewhere.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Being in Melbourne in this weather, I tend to steer more towards those tropical fragrances because I can only imagine, being somewhere else when I don't have the.
Yes, definitely. So number 2, what do you love about candles?
I'd say the fact that it does take me on an emotional journey while I am making them. It is very therapeutic. I don't know what it is about the visual, about melting that wax and the scents and the fragrances. And honestly, every time I've been a little bit down, I make a candle and automatically I just feel better.
Yeah.
So it's my escape.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And last question, what is one piece of advice for new candle makers at the start of their journey?
Yeah, I think we touched base on this, but I'll go over. So basically, don't start big. Do a lot of research, watch a lot of YouTube videos, do a course if you can. And just make sure you know all the information. You don't want to make a hazardous candle that could possibly explode in somebody's house and cause some damage.
Yes, and we'll touch on in another episode about getting insurance and protecting yourself from that perspective as well.
Yeah, there are insurance companies out there that they can contact as well. Now, they can give them some more information as well.
Yes, we're definitely not the experts. You need to do your due diligence and research that. Yeah. So where can the listeners learn more about you and KwikWik? If they're keen to purchase this amazing product or they just want to learn a bit more about you, where's the best place for them to look?
Yeah, sure. So we're on Instagram, which you said you can pop a link. And there's also a Facebook group where there's a bit more of a discussion that can happen, be in a Facebook group. So they're the two places besides the actual website. Website's just got your products and the checkout, whereas obviously on Instagram you'll find a few videos, pictures, stories, and they'll get more of an idea of how it's used and all the sizes, etc.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Myrna. It's been lovely chatting, and I really hope and I really think that the listeners will find this beneficial.
Thank you so much for having me, Kirsty, and hopefully I'll get to speak to you again.
Lovely. Thanks so much.
And thanks everyone for listening today. I hope this episode added value to your candle making journey. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout today's episode. And if you would like to submit a question, send me a DM on Instagram at Candle Business Coach. And if you haven't already, download your free copy of my guide, 5 Simple Steps to Start Your Candle Journey. It contains tips and advice before you make your first candle, and details are in the show notes. Lastly, please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And thanks again for listening. Have a beautiful day.